Alright, today I will talk about the 4% rule, and I will talk about the mentality a lot of people have on how to make money. And I will also talk about the mindset people have. So, what is the 4% rule? So, this is pretty complicated and easy at the same time as long as you know the terminology. Um, so, basically, I'm going to try to explain this as simple as possible because um, I'm I know a lot of stuff about finances, but I'm not like I wouldn't consider myself an expert, so I'm making videos for people who know nothing. That's that's what I'm trying to do with this YouTube channel. So anyway, so the 4% rule. You can retire with this um, forever. If you have, for example, if you have $1 million, you can retire never working in. And this is a study called the, I think, Trilogy study made by some college, and it's a really famous study, and it works for a lot of people. So what basically happens is, if you have $1 million, okay, um, if you take 4% out of that $1 million, you have $40,000. And in theory, if you put all of this in the stock market, for example, if you put in the S&P 500 in an index fund, I will explain all of this in a second. If you have $1 million in the S&P 500 and you take 4% out, that's $40,000, and the average return over the last 60 years or however long the S&P 500 existed is 7 to 10%. Um, and if you take 4% out, it's $40,000, and you leave 3% in for inflation, which means your money is going to grow and or going to stay the same, and you have unlimited $40,000 paychecks, quote unquote, annually forever. Um, the only issue is it's the mental part, because it's not like the stock market is going to grow 7 to 10% every year, and you're never going to lose any money. Just like with what is going on with the pandemic recently. I'm talking about something very specific that impacted everybody's life. I don't know if I should say it. I don't know about the YouTube algorithm and stuff like that. Anyway, it's 2020, so you probably know what I'm talking about. So with this, it went down. I think the S&P 500 went down like 35-40%. And let's say you have $1 million in that, you just lost 35% of the $1 million. And that's hard to handle for a lot of people. But if you just think logically and rationally and don't have any emotions, you would be fine, because you know that over the years you'll get a 7% return. Um, so yeah, so how do you do this? Okay, so there are a lot of ways on doing this. You usually do this. You can do this through an individual brokerage account. The only issue is that you will be taxed on that money, and that it really depends on what tax bracket you're in. Um, if you don't make much money right now, then if you make under $20,000, there's probably no taxes on it. But the winnings you can make can put you in another tax bracket. But I don't think that's gonna happen if you just put $200 a month in there. So how do you attain this? Um, you can do this early. You can do this in your 20s and do this for 15, 20 years and work really hard, or do something creative and have $1 million and put it in the stock market. What I'm doing is I'm just gonna go for traditional retirement, um, because I don't really like working, but I save a lot of money anyway, and I think I would be bored if I wouldn't work. So I'm just gonna work until I'm 60 or 50. and maybe I'll work part-time or start a business. But the point is, so this is how you do it. So there's something called a 401k, which is a retirement plan, which is a traditional retirement plan. So how this works is, um, let's say you work for some company and they offer that. Not every company offers it. Usually, if you work for a good company, they will offer it with a match. So let's say you make like $3,000 on your 2 week paycheck, um, and they match 5%. Okay, what is a match? So let's say you put 5% of what you earn of this $3,000. You put 5% in that fund, so they will take before they tax you. They will take out that money and put it in that fund, and your company will match the 5% of however much money you making that paycheck. Let's say $100 is the 5%. Maybe you're making less than 3,000. They will put another $100 in there. And if you do this until 59 and a half, it will grow tax free. The only issue is when you take it out at 59 and a half, there is no penalty because there is a 10% penalty if you do it before that age. The only issue is that they will tax you on it like you're working. So if you're taking out $40,000, they will tax you like you're earning $40,000. And there is a way to um, to become a tax-free millionaire, and the way to do this is by putting your money in the Roth IRA. The only issue is that there is no match with the Roth IRA, and nobody is managing your money. Because in the 401k, usually people have a mutual fund, and you can do this with a Roth IRA too. But what I would do is take the match from your company. If you don't have a 401k with your company and no match, or if you have a 401k and you don't have a match, what I would just do is put your money in a Roth IRA. Put like however much you can. Don't get yourself in financial trouble over having a Roth IRA. You don't want to not be able to pay your bills and go into debt just so you can put enough money in the Roth IRA. That's not how you want to do it. You want to put ideally as much money in there as you can without hurting yourself. So I don't know. Maybe like depends who you ask. This is not financial advice, but maybe like really depends how much money you make too. And it depends where you're at. If you have debt, I would recommend to pay that off first because you're paying interest on something you don't have. So it doesn't make sense to make interest there and pay for interest there. Get rid of the interest first. And if you don't have any interest with that debt, then you can do it. But pay off your debt first and have an emergency fund. And after that, 3 to 6 month emergency fund. And after that, you can start investing in a Roth IRA. And I would put in, if you can, $500 a month. If that's too much, 100 is okay, 200 is okay, 300 is okay. $50 is better than $0. So if you do that, then that's great. It's better than nothing. Because a lot of people will have to rely on Social Security, and that's not a lot. Right now, it's like $900, I think. If you barely did anything, and that will be with inflation, it will be $2,200. I think when I retire, but that's still the same amount of money. It just looks like more because of the inflation, but it will be the same. So yeah, so index fund and Roth IRA, if I haven't explained this yet, is a retirement fund. And the nice thing about the Roth IRA is that it's tax free. The only issue is you can only put $6,000 in there a year, and then you can't contribute anymore. Or if you make more than $130,000 or something like that, you can contribute. There's a way to still do it, but yeah. So, and with a 401k, it's $20,000 annually, but they will tax you on it. So I would first max out your Roth IRA, and then you can put it in the 401k. And you don't want um you don't want just like liquid assets, I think is the term. You don't just want that because if everything would collapse, um your money is gone. If I don't know, you want hard assets too. You just don't want to put everything you have in the stock market. While you put your money in the in your retirement account, you also want to save for, and this is just my philosophy, other people have a different philosophy. You also want to have save up some money to get some assets, some hard assets like real estate or rare metals. And if you have that, what would be perfect is if you have $1 million by retirement, tax free, and you would have a paid off house and some gold and silver and platinum or something, and maybe like you don't need any guns, but guns and ammo, and maybe some like survival food that lasts for 20, 30 years, and have an emergency fund and have a paid off house. Did I already say that? I think so. That would be great. Um, because you want to diversify your wealth. You just don't want to put everything in one basket, because if that basket breaks or gets broken, if you know what I mean, then all of your wealth is gone, and that's not how people usually people can get rich by doing this, but it's really risky, and you can lose everything, and that's not what I want to do. So um, yeah, if you have your wealth distributed in a good way and diversified, and you do that for a long time, and you keep investing, then you will have a bright financial future. But if you act like the majority of Americans and live paycheck to paycheck, and you can't even cover a $400 emergency without going into debt or selling something, then that's a recipe for failure. I'm from Europe, and the way people handle their money here is just crazy to me, and it would be crazy to other people where I'm from. I live in a pretty nice area, so I assume people know how to handle their money here. It could be fake too. Um, it, I heard 7 out of 10 people um, are in a lot of debt in the U.S., so I assume that every 7 houses I see, they, they have trouble paying off their stuff. I don't know. So yeah, so the moral of the story is invest in a Roth IRA and take your match from your company. Take the match from the 401k and then put another 5% in the Roth IRA or 10%. Get out of debt. Let's do it one by one. I have this from Dave Ramsey, by the way, but mine I modified it a little bit to my what I think. Um, get out of debt. Build up an emergency fund, 3 to 6 months. Um, get a 401k with a match, and then put 5% in a Roth IRA. If you have that and you have the emergency fund, what you can do is save up a lot of money, but the emergency fund is not. It's not supposed to make you rich, and you're not supposed to use it to invest in anything. That's just your security. That's just insurance. So once you have that security fund and your retirement accounts and your debt is paid off, you want to start. Unless, let's say your car's going to break down pretty soon, you should save up for that. But if all of this is good, then what you should do is you should save up for hard assets. You should save up for a small apartment. And I will go into this later. I might cover this today. I'm not sure. Um, get a small apartment so you at least have some equity. And don't do the 30-year mortgage because the interest on that is just crazy. Last time I checked, it's like 4 or 3 times the amount of the principal. The principal is the interest you're paying. So save up for a down payment and work on your credit score, and I might cover that later. Um, get a small apartment. You can also do house hacking. Let's say you get a two-bedroom apartment. You can rent out that one apartment, and those people will basically pay for your homeowner's insurance and the HOA, and maybe they will cover even some of your principal, and then you're just paying maybe, let's say it's 2,000 15-year mortgage, $2,000 every month for a 15-year mortgage. If you rent that out for $800, um, you're saving money. So okay, I'm not gonna rant anymore, but I might cover more later. Just follow what I did, and you're already ahead of half of the country.